Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Rag Plays Crusader Kings 2 Monks and Mystics as the Count of Montferrat in the Penitenziagite campaign. Last we left off, I was explaining, I believe, the cultures, the religions, the supply, the revolt risk, and so forth, and the titles. I think we need to dial it back a bit before we do anything else. I need to rewind because I've been going too fast, and anyone learning this game might have missed over why exactly I chose the roles that I did for each of my council members and what they do exactly. It's important when I do something that you guys know, not only know that it's good, but why it's good. That these methods, you'll know why it's effective when it happens, when things go our way. So let's pretend we didn't do this yet and go and just do a quick recap of what we've done. So when we assigned our Chancellor, I made sure that I picked the guy who had the best diplomacy stat. This is the only stat that matters for all intents and purposes for the Chancellor role. Each of these correspond with a particular stat, and the Chancellor happens to be diplomacy. Now, the more diplomacy a Chancellor has, the better our state diplomacy is. That means the better our country does. And you can see the state diplomacy by looking over here, and it tells you how we get to the numbers. So our state diplomacy is 18, it's in the bracket here. And our own diplomacy is 6. So since our Chancellor has 12 diplomacy, our Counselor, I should say, has 12 diplomacy, and we have 6, it equals 18. State diplomacy is also... you also get half of your wife's state diplomacy. All of your state skills are calculated as such. They are your counselor plus you plus half of your wife. So half of my wife is 1, so it doesn't actually show it here, but really we have 18.5 state diplomacy. So not bad. Anyway, so now that you know how that conversion works, and that goes the same for every skill: martial, stewardship, spy master, intrigue stuff, and learning. Alright, so what roles could we possibly assign him? Let's pretend that we did not assign him a role to fabricate claims in Saluzzo. He has the ability, and these are new, all of these roles here got added to in the last patch in Monks and Mystics. There used to be only 3 in each, but now there are 4, so we'll talk about the new ones. Perform statecraft. Work to improve relations with random vassals, neighboring rulers, and your liege, and lower your threat. Threat decay is plus 12%. So, possible outcomes: the relations are improved 24.04% yearly, 1 in 4 chance, and sabotage relations with our lord is 2.83 yearly. So we might actually make things worse by doing this, but this is a good one to turn on after you've conquered some land, because every time you conquer land, you get something called threat. As your threat level goes up, the more and more land you take, without putting buffer periods in between. Let's say if I attack this guy and 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 this guy, all within the course of 1 year, our threat level would go through the roof depending on what we took from all these people. Everyone around us would hate us, and they would join something called coalitions, which I think there's a map mode here. Defensive pacts. You see there are none right now, but you would see colors show up on the map of all the people who would be in a defensive pact against anyone. So if I clicked here, no one is in a defensive pact against us. Rather, we are in a defensive pact with the Holy Roman Empire because we are part of the Holy Roman Empire, since we clicked there. This guy, the Count of Auxerre, is in a defensive pact with the French right now because he is part of France. So that's just telling us that he's being protected, we're being protected similarly by the Holy Roman Emperor. So as we gain threat, it's good to do this after we gain it if we take land, so that it decays faster by 12% a year. And also it gives us a chance to improve relations and whatnot with random people around us, which is always good. Make people a little bit more friendly to our cause. Next one over. Improve diplomatic relations. Send your counselor on a diplomatic mission to improve relations with your vassals or the ruler of a county. This is when we want to do specific targeting. Possible outcomes with our Lord is 28.85% yearly. Sabotage relations goes up by 5.19. So anyone we send this after, this is more of a targeted thing. It's not randomized like this one. If we wanted to, say, improve relations with the Holy Roman Emperor, we'd send our Chancellor here, and that would make him like us better potentially. That's often good to do that if you want an alliance or if you want something from the character. But and it's also good once your realm begins to grow to improve diplomatic relations with people under you. So this could possibly work to improve relations with our mayor here, who owns the city of Asti. So Mayor Ludovico of Asti. We could potentially increase our relationship with him and make him like us more, since his opinion of us is pretty low right now, -7. He doesn't like us very much because we fired him from the council to replace him with someone better because he's awful. But anyway, that is what diplomatic relations do. This becomes more and more important the bigger you get, so the more people that are under you, the stronger those people are. You want to improve relations periodically with the strongest members so that they like you and they don't cause you trouble. Next one over is what we're doing currently is fabricating claims. So we're sending our Chancellor to Saluzzo to fabricate claims, or anywhere else that you happen to choose that you think you can beat in a war. And he has an 8.01% chance every year to come back saying, I found a relationship on your mother's brother's father's side that means you could potentially own this county legally. You need a reason to go to war in CK2. You can't just declare war for no reason. I'll give you an example of that. So, if I right-click on the Count of Saluzzo here, his portrait, it brings up the diplomacy actions that I can do with him. I can send him a gift, I can arrange a marriage with him, I can arrange a betrothal, I can assign him a guardian, or ask him to be assigned a guardian. I can transfer vassalage if I own someone. I can send him someone beneath me. I can move under him if I wanted to. But that's bad for me. Why would I do that? I could plot to kill him. I could declare war, request an invasion, request an excommunication. These two actions here, request an invasion and request an excommunication. Excommunication is actually me talking to the Pope and saying, listen, this kid's a little asshole. He's not worshipping the things we worship, or he's doing it wrong, and I want a free Casus Belli to attack him and remove him from power. This is basically a useless feature in CK2. I have no idea why it's still in or why they even bother having it as an option. It never works. There is never a point where the Pope will ever let you excommunicate someone. It never happens. There's no way. And of course we can form an alliance with him if we wanted to. But to do that we need to have we need to be a close relative, or we need to have a non-aggression pact with the Count of Saluzzo. I'm to think of that, I should actually check out Salerno to see if we can form an alliance with him. We can, look at that. And we should form an alliance with him. He says no. He does not want our alliance for reasons. I'm not sure why that is. Oh well, we can't do that, but we might have been able to if we had a relationship closer to him. I think we married one of his sisters, and that's why we have the option to do it, but he doesn't want it. He probably thinks we're too far away, that we can't be of any help to him, and vice versa, so whatever. Back to what we were doing. So the fabricating claims. When I click on this kid, alright, when I click on the right-click the kid's portrait and hover over the declare war, we do not have a Casus Belli, so we cannot click this button. Count Adone must have a valid Casus Belli to declare war. Casus Belli means reason for war. Anytime I say CB in this game, anytime you hear Casus Belli, that means you are trying to find a way to go to war with somebody, and you need this thing, this reason to declare war. Or else everyone around you, kind of to put it into real-life perspective, other lords and dukes and barons and counts would not accept your rulership of the realm in the Middle Ages if you did not have a just cause and, under the under the guise of that you have rightful claim over the land that you're going after. They won't accept a tyrant just marching in and taking whatever they want, because that would be how you would get excommunicated by the Pope back in those days, most of the time, or or even intervened upon by your top liege to say, hey, you took land that doesn't belong to you, you need to give that back. That's not yours by right. Anyway, so if I wanted to do a different war, though, I could declare war against a merchant republic. You always have a CB against a merchant republic, no matter who you are in the game. And that CB, if I click on declare war, clicking declare war doesn't automatically send you into war, so don't worry about that. You can choose your Casus Belli from here. And the only Casus Belli we have, since we don't have a claim, is to make him a tributary. Now, if we selected this, make the target realm your tributary by forcing them to pay you 40% of their income in tribute to you on every month. If we win the war, we lose. This guy loses 100 prestige, which is bad for him. He removes any previous suzerain of Serene Doge Manfredo. I have no idea what that means. We gain 200 prestige by doing that, and he becomes a tributary of us for a period of time. And every month, it tells you what happens if we make white peace, which means we neither win nor lose. We lose 100 prestige, he gains 100 prestige because he managed to hold us off. And if we lose the war, we lose 200 prestige, and we have to pay him 132 ducats as war reparations. Apparently we went to war and we lost the war, so we would have to pay him, and he would gain 200 prestige. And if the leader of the attacking alliance dies, the war ends, which sucks. So if we died in the middle of the war would be over. Anyway, we don't want to do that because he's way more powerful than us, and to make him a tributary would be cool. A merchant republic as a tributary would give us a lot of extra gold per month, but anyway. That is how Casus Belli's work. You need them to attack people if you're a Christian. The only way you don't need them to attack people is if you border a differing religion to you. You get different types of CBs, but most of the time you need claims to attack anyone that happens to be around you. If I was, just as an example, the Count of let's find a count. Let's say I'm the Prince Bishop of Saxe here, and I want to attack, I don't know, that's a bad example, in fact. Let's say I am the Count of... You're a Count, yes? I don't know. Strategos. No, that's a Baron. That might be a Count. No, that is a Baron. Or that is, a Duke, I should say. Let's find a... Are there any Counts? This guy is a Count. Okay, so Count Petros of Tortosa. Say I'm Count Petros of Tortosa, and I want to go to war with this guy next to me, who is the Bey of Murtaza of Arca, this province here. Since the Bey of Arca is not my religion, I get a free CB called the Holy War CB. So I can declare a holy war against him as this character. That means I alone would go to war with him. And actually, I wouldn't be able to go to war with him directly. I would have to attack his direct liege. So, who is he beneath? He is underneath the Duke of Aleppo, this fella here. And the Duke of Aleppo is underneath the King of Persia. So, this guy here. So, if I wanted to do that as a single little count, I would have to attack all of this. It would just not be doable, because his top liege, the Duke, would defend him, and the Duke's top liege, the King of Persia, would defend the Duke. So that's how the feudal pyramid works. It would be the same as if I was attacked by France. If France decided to attack me directly over my county in Montferrat, my Duke would protect me. I don't have a Duke, technically, right now. The duchy, the de jure duchy that I'd be under, is the Duchy of Saluzzo, and it hasn't been created yet. So, right now, as of right now, I am directly under the Holy Roman Emperor. the emperor of all of this. So if France decided, hey, I want to have a go at Montferrat, my liege would protect me. That's what I pay him the tax for. That's what he protects me. That's why he protects me, is because I pay him a tax. So he would go to war with France to protect my kingdom. And the same would go for Persia. Now, on top of the Holy War CB, even if you declare that and you say, okay, well, as a one province minor, I can totally take Persia. You have to be aware that any other character, ruler, title, whatever, that is the same religion as the guy you are attacking in a Holy War CB. So this guy is Sunni, he's a Muslim. Any other Sunni Muslims in the area, if I switch over to the religion map mode, will defend him. So, potentially, all of these people come to his aid down here. So Hale, Rafa, and they might not even be part of the war, so I have to be very careful when I go about declaring wars like that. All of these people could even join if they decided to, the people in Sicily. Anyone, as long as it's defensive, if I declare war, a holy war against a person who is a certain religion, all the other people that are of that religion have the ability, that border him, have the ability to join in as well. So you have to be very careful with that. They're saying, you know, basically the reasoning for that is, you're attacking us on the basis of our faith, and because you're attacking us on the basis of our faith, we have a right. We are going to defend our faith from foreigners and stop you from doing that. So anyone can come to the defense of their religion. That includes me too. If a Sunni declared a holy war on me, everyone in this area could rise up to defend me, potentially, if they wanted to, and most likely they would. So there are other CBs in the game. A crusade, you would think that the crusade would be the same thing as a holy war, but a crusade is a particular triggered event that happens at certain points in the game, and we'll get a huge banner here that we have the ability to click, and we can offer to join the war. The Pope will call the crusade if certain criteria are met, like Jerusalem is controlled by Muslims, for instance, or any other religion, and it is currently controlled by the prince of one of the princes of Egypt, basically. He's a Levantine Sunni, and Jerusalem is being converted away from... Actually, it currently is Sunni right now, is Jerusalem. So, since Jerusalem is owned by the Muslims, the Pope at any point could call a crusade against Egypt. And if that happens, everyone in Christendom, the Holy Roman Emperor, France, Hungary, Croatia, all of the minor counts, even us on an individual level, counts on individual levels, whoever they happen to be, from king to baron, could offer to join in that crusade and take up the cross and go and fight in the Holy Land. Similarly, any Muslim could come to his defense. So, again, and it's very hard to take the goal of a crusade, mainly because of home field advantage. The Muslims will be prepared and waiting for you when you go down there, so you have to go with a big army, and you have to go in a pack, and be very diligent about paying attention to what happens down here. Anyway, that is another CB that you could use, and how you take land in a crusade is you have to occupy certain territory. So say if I got to Jerusalem and I occupied... Jerusalem was the war goal, we'll say, of the crusade that was called. I get here and I occupy all of these holdings, siege them down, and stick my army here and wait until the war score gets to 100%. That means I gain control of Jerusalem, not just Jerusalem, but the entire kingdom of Jerusalem, which de jure looks like this. These are the borders of Jerusalem. So anything that's owned by the Egyptians, I wouldn't gain Sur or Beirut because they're owned by separate people, but for the goal of the crusade itself, I would gain all of this plus this little bit over here, if I was the one to take the war goal of Jerusalem. If I, however, just took someplace like Ascalon here, or Acre, I would just get this province if it was me solely, and somebody else might get Jerusalem if we won the war. So let's say England occupied Jerusalem, but I occupied this. I would get this, and England would get the rest of the kingdom. And anyone else who occupies individual war goals might get the rest as well, or whatever they occupied specifically. Anyway, That was a long effort to explain claims, but that was necessary to do. Of course, there is a % chance that somebody finds out what we're trying to do and they'll get really, really pissed off at us for doing that. Not good. Not that important, though. Generally, nothing comes of it, so... the last option on the Chancellor is to sow dissent. Now, sowing dissent means that the vassal liege opinion of the guy that you were doing it to, so say I wanted to sow dissent against Nice, anyone under him would hate him if I did that, potentially. If I triggered the chance on the 24% chance here, it says per year, of that happening, his vassals underneath him, the Baron of Monaco and the Mayor of Mentone, would hate the Prince Bishop of Nice more. That's useful because if you're about to go to war with somebody, you might want to sow dissent before you go, so that these two people will support him less in the war. They'll give less of their troops because they like him less. The amount of troops that you pull from sub-vassals, in my case it would be the Bishopric of Casale and the city of Asti, is based on your opinion of them, and it's based partially on other things as well, your diplomacy, your martial, whatever, but that all has to do with the opinion, so whether they like me or not, they're obligated to give me something, but the more they like me, the more they'll give me, so the less they like him, the less they'll give him. That's the idea of sow dissent. Let's move on to the Marshal's role. Man, this is going to be a long episode, but I feel it's necessary that you guys understand how to play this game. First one we can do, this is a new one. This was one of the ones that was just added. This one is Organize the Army. The Marshal will strive to organize your armies and drill your commanders. Reduces retinue monthly cost. So, if we have a retinue, which is a thing here, go to the Military tab and click on Retinues. After a certain amount of technology, when you invest it properly into military organization, you get the ability to buy retinues. And what retinues are, essentially, are standing armies. They are armies that don't consist of your levy, they don't consist of this number here, and the amount of population that's in the town. They exist solely on pay. You're paying them to always be around and to always defend you. So the Marshal cheapens the cost of them. He cheapens the cost of them sitting around. They are very expensive. That's why at the start of the game, basically nobody has them. Actually, Genoa has some of them here, I believe. Genoese army. So yes, these armies here, two of them are cavalry. Both of them are heavy cav. They are retinues for Genoa. And he is paying, because he makes a fuck ton of money. Let's take a look at his income. His monthly balance is 8.33 ducats. He can afford to hire. He can afford to keep these guys on hire all year long, no problem, because he has such a high monthly balance. Our monthly balance, on the other hand, is 2.25. We could never afford what he can. So the retinues, that cheapens the cost of them. It would be good if we had retinues. Since we don't have a retinue right now, it's not a whole lot. Horde maintenance cost, that is for the Tengri steppe people out here. So anyone who is the steppe religion, who is a nomad, in the nomad government types. So I'll switch to governments here on this tab, the government types. And see, we're feudal, so that doesn't matter to us. If we were nomadic, we would reduce the cost of hordes. And hordes are like their version of standing armies. Of course, there are tribal different government types. Ikta is the Muslim type. Tribal down in Africa. There's tribal up here in Finland and the Russian areas and things like that. And of course, red is merchant republics. You can see all the merchant republics: Venice, Pisa, Genoa. What is that? What type of government is this? That's a merchant republic as well. And even here, there's a republic. Wow. I did not know about that one. Yes, that is the extent of governments. So, back to the council tab, and we're looking at the organize the army. So, since we don't have retinues or hordes, we don't need to do that. It's just not, it's not necessary for us to do right now. There are other benefits to doing this. There are possible outcomes yearly. We might have one of our commanders improved. So if we look at our minor titles, we have commanders. These are the people we could potentially put in charge of leading our armies when we do battle. They by sending our marshal to do that skill in the position here to organize the army, he has the potential to make our commanders better. So he might improve their martial abilities, which are 9 and 8, which are pretty bad right now. He might bump them up a couple points and make these guys better. He might give them extra traits that make them better, and so forth. That would be a nice thing, but it's not super important. He has the chance of finding a new commander for us, and we have the potential to hire that commander, just a randomly spawned person that comes to our court and says, hey, I really know how to lead troops, why don't you put me in charge of your army? And we'd be like, yeah, sure. And then there's a Commander Brawl, which must be the bad event that possibly has a chance to kill him if he does that job. That's only a 2.78% chance yearly, so it's not that bad. The next job he could potentially do is suppress revolts. Local revolt risk minus 11%, arrest chance is plus 11%. So if I go down here to the map modes again, everything corresponds with different things. So anytime you look at something, chances are there's a map mode that corresponds to it if you need to know about revolt risk. So here's the revolt risk map mode. It looks like a little fist. The darker the color, the higher the revolt risk. So down in Egypt here, they've got some pretty high revolt risk, so they might be sending their marshal to suppress revolts here. As you can see in Montferrat, we are fine. We're in the green. Everything's golden. It's very unlikely that we'll get a rebellion, so it's not important. Suppressing revolts also works when one of your vassals, say the city of Asti the mayor of Asti became disloyal to me, or he was doing something that was very naughty, that was unlawful. And we would have a pop-up up here that would spring down. It would say, righteous imprisonment. We have the ability to imprison this guy without incurring tyranny. He has broken the law, we need to throw him in jail, and he needs to pay his debt to society. Now, when we do that, we can do it just off the bat and say, okay, click the button or try and arrest him, but there is a chance that he will evade the arrest. There is even a chance, if he was above that level, if he was above the city level, that he would raise, well actually no, he could potentially do it even as a city, or as a bishopric, or whatever is under you, to raise up in rebellion against you. So he might raise his troops and try and screw your entire country over and destroy you. Sending your marshal to suppress the revolt before you try and arrest him increases the arrest chance by 11%, so it's less likely that he will evade capture and raise a rebellion. So whenever you go to arrest someone, especially if they're very powerful, you might want to send your marshal to suppress the revolt before you try and arrest him. Next one over is currently what we are doing. We're training troops in Montferrat. Obviously, since we, since we don't have any revolt risk and we don't need to arrest anyone right now, doing that is pointless. So we wouldn't be doing that. Training troops. This increases our overall levy size by 27.5%, and that varies based on his marshal score and our state marshal and whatnot. All of these numbers are flexible, and they're based on our traits and stats and whatever, so they're going to be changed. They're going to be different from you. I'm just telling you what they are for me. And he increases the levy reinforcement rate. So every time we lose troops by 55%, every time we lose troops, he has the potential of causing this county to recover its men, its young boys faster, so that we always have a fresh supply of troops. Right now, as you can see, since we actually did send our commander there, since he is increasing our levy size by 27.5%, you'll see our levy is not quite at full strength. We have 1068 out of 1287, so the extra 200 and something men, 220 men, are the 27% from the marshal being there. And over time that will tick up to 1287 by him remaining there and doing his job and reinforcing the levy and getting more men to our name. So that's something you want to do. I say that this is what you'd be doing the majority of time that you with your marshal, more than anything else. Possible outcomes are levy reinforcements 18.02% per year, which might apply another bonus to the reinforcement rate, and also he might upset local people and cause us a setback, which is a very low chance, so it's not a big deal. You want to do that probably. Next one over is research military tech. Have your marshal research military advancements in a county. Military technology spread rate is plus 55%. We have the possibility of doing a drill accident, but also the possibility of finding secrets and gaining direct technology points. But basically what this does, it allows the technology from other neighboring counties around us to flow faster towards us. And we gain their technologies by being close to them and so forth. So you want to, you know, this might be another one to do. I rarely ever do it though. I always am training troops generally. Because this is the sort of like the short-term gain, but this is the long-term game. If you're playing the long game, it might be good to do that every so often, but certainly in the beginning of the game you're going to want to have as many men as you can by training troops. Looking down at our steward, the thing he is doing right now is collecting taxes. We'll get to that, but right now, pretend he's not doing anything. He has the ability to administer the realm. This is sort of something that he can just do passively. Steward will strive to improve your domain, which a domain in this game basically just means what you own personally. So I have a 1 out of 5 domain size right now. I only have one county, which is Montferrat, and he has a possibility to improve that by increasing prosperity, which is down here. It would be right here if we were prospering. There'd be a little indicator that says Montferrat is prospering, and it would show you what bonuses you get, but there is no prospering in Montferrat right now, so that's not going to be available for me to show off. So he could possibly improve our domain, 13.11% chance yearly, which I think is the domain size. It might be just upgrades within Montferrat, I'm not entirely sure. Still a new mechanic, we're going to have to find that out. It's a learning experience for me too. And the bad side of that would be the smugglers enter domain, and they get past his nose, and that's a 2.83% chance yearly. Right now he's currently collecting taxes. This is the job I sent him to in Montferrat, so local tax modifier is up by 30% when he's doing that. That just applies all the time, so instead of whatever it was at the beginning, it was like 1.6 ducats, we had an extra 30% onto everything, and we have, now we're gaining 2.25, which is better. And of course, he has the ability to collect a special tithe, which will be a flat sum of money, potentially an 8 something percent chance per year, that we'll just get some free money. But there's also a chance that he'll be attacked and killed, because people hate tax collectors, as I mentioned last episode. Overseeing construction. Whenever we build buildings in our realm, if we click on our own personal holdings here, which is the barony of Montcalvo, we are the Count of Montferrat, and this is the capital of Montferrat, is Montcalvo. If we click on this, it shows us buildings in here. If we had the money, we don't have the money to build any building right now. The cost is right here listed on improving these, and it tells you what it gives you if you do that. Doing that beforehand will cheapen the cost by sending him to oversee the construction. That's good to do if you remember to do it, but I rarely ever remember to do it, so... it actually doesn't cheapen the cost, it reduces the build time modifier, so it'll build the buildings faster. The possible outcomes are meets a master builder, and that might improve your speed of building, that might cheapen the cost, and the bad side is that the construction might be sabotaged and he might fail at his job. It's a plus and negative to doing everything. Research economy tech is the last thing, and that's the same as military tech. It improves the spread rate from all the places around us so that we might gain more economic advancements. Something that we might want to do at some points when we don't think taxes, when we don't need money, we'd probably want to do this. But there's never a point where we're not going to need money. So, the Spy Master. Spy Master is the guy who makes sure problems disappear and the realm is well defended from exterior threats. He's the CIA. He's the FBI. Right now we have him scheming in Montferrat. And by the way, the Administer Realm is the new one, the new ability for the Steward that came out in Monks and Mystics. The Spy Master, he's scheming in Montferrat right now, and basically we have the chance of discovering a plot against us. And when we discover a plot against us, this is what I mentioned before when I was talking about making arrests. someone might be planning to do something very bad, like murder one of our children, or murder us, or try and fabricate a claim on our territory, whatever, and we find out about that, we get something called righteous imprisonment. We have the ability to throw that guy in jail, and then take his money, or execute him, or do all sorts of nasty things for trying to destroy us. That, by scheming, it increases the chances that we'll find something if something is afoot. So that is defensive spying. You are looking for people who are trying to do things to you. That's what scheming is. It's defensive espionage. He has the 10% chance of a plot discovery every year, 10.30. He has also, scheming will also, if you know there's a rebellious vassal underneath of you, one of your people who you are in control of, you think that they might not be on the up and up, you think they might be planning something against you, they are discouraged from joining factions. Now, factions appear in this tab. If we had factions against us, basically, this is the lawful way for people to petition for change within a feudal society. So, my mayor and my bishop might join the faction to, say, change a law. We'll get into laws eventually, but not on this episode, certainly, since it's probably already coming up on the amount of time that we need. But say they want to, I don't know, go over to council laws. Let's say if they wanted for me to change the law of banishment. Who has the ability to banishment? They don't want me to have direct control over banishing someone. They want direct control over it. They want me, I'll say, okay, I want to banish somebody, so I'm just going to do it. If I have the ability to do it as a ruler, that means that I don't need to ask the council permission to banish someone. But let's say they want to make it so I have to ask them. So they'll start up a faction, and they'll say, faction for the banishment law in the county of Montferrat, and they'll join this faction, potentially. So they might start factions for independence, so I'll show you what we could start here if we wanted to. We'd try and get seniority, succession in the Holy Roman Empire, gavel kind. We could go for independence. We could try and put a different person on the throne of the Holy Roman Empire if we wanted to. We could try and overthrow him for no reason. There's lots of things we could do against our liege, but if any of that is happening to us, we can send our spy master to scheme wherever the person is who's planning that. So if we looked at the factions, it would show the members. So say we have one vassal who we know lives in Saluzzo, for instance, or since we only have one county right now, it would be either Asti or Casale. So we would send our guy to scheme in Montferrat, and he would possibly he would discourage them from being a part of these factions. They would feel less good about joining a faction. But just because people join factions, like I said, this is the lawful way to enact change in the realm. You can't stop people from joining these. You can't imprison them because they're a part of a faction. That is what they are allowed by law to do this. It's just like petitioning your government, but trying to stop it is perfectly allowed, obviously. If you are the liege, you don't want it happening because it's just bad, it's messy, it causes problems, you don't want people joining factions. Alright, so the last possible outcome, of course, are thugs attack the spy master. If he's been found out, if the mole has been found, then he could potentially die because of that. That's the detriment. It's very low chance. Next one over, Sabotage Province. This is the new one for the spy master that came out in Monks and Mystics. The spy master is set to infiltrate a province and sabotage its operations. So this would be another offensive spy. This would be offensive spying versus defensive. This would be rabble-rousing. So, sabotaging a province, I assume it's going to be kind of the opposite of administering the realm. Whereas I send him to an enemy province, and he fucks shit up. He sabotages buildings, he might destroy buildings, he might destroy the prosperity in that area, and of course he has a chance to be discovered. But that's a pretty good chance to actually sabotage the province, 24%. It's pretty damn good for 12 intrigue. I would expect that to be much lower. So that is the rabble-rousing sort of aspect of that, but then there is building a spy network. Now this is the offensive spying in the game. So defensive spying is scheming, offensive spying is building a spy network. You can only build a spy network against enemies or other people. You can't build a spy network against yourself. You could do it to your vassals, but that's kind of really a mean thing to do, and if they catch you doing it, they'll hate you for it. So, have your spy master focus the attention on the local nobles in a county, increasing the likelihood of intrigue events against them. This will discourage vassals from associating with factions or give you the opportunity to recruit new members for your own. So, basically what this will do is this will cause people to want to join factions against the person you send him against. So if I sent my spy master to Nice to build a spy network, more people would be likely to join factions against the leader of Nice, the Count of Nice. So vicious rumors are spread. So you might have we might be able to spread a rumor that the Bishop of Nice is a is a raging homosexual or something like that, or a pedophile, which is very, very bad for back in this time period. Obviously, if you were thought to be those things, well, it wasn't a good time, we'll say. So that would be very bad for him, and his opinion with all of his vassals would go, or his vassals' opinion of him would go way down. They would potentially want to join factions over it, and so forth. Corruption might be uncovered in that area, so we could potentially find stuff that we could blackmail him over. We could get him to pay us money to keep it a secret. Bribe us and pay us off. The thugs might attack him again if he's discovered, so he might be killed because of that, or injured. This also does a similar thing to scheming. Prevents vassals from, it discourages vassals from joining factions. A particular vassal, though. We'd be targeting not all of the vassals, like scheming, but vassals would be discouraged from joining a faction if we sent him to a target. So say Pavia was under us and we sent him there, it would be a much higher chance to prevent specifically Pavia from joining factions, which would be good for us. A noble is encouraged to join your faction. This is another fantastic thing. So if we started a faction against the Holy Roman Empire, we could send our guy to, say, the Duke of Lombardy and say, hey, you know, we want you to get involved. We want you to help us out with this. There's gains for all of us to be made, so we should try and get him off the throne and put somebody else on there. We could potentially convince him easier to join the faction with us. 27% chance of that as well. Last one is study technology of all varieties. Our spy master is sent to study the technological marvels in a county, increasing the chance of spreading them to your capital. So, if we sent our guy to, say, the Byzantine capital of Constantinople here, that has very, very high technology rate at the beginning of the game. See if I can actually find technology, if there's a map mode for it. I don't think there is here, but if I go to the technology tab up here, and then click on the map mode for these things. So let's say I wanted to find out who has the best military organization in the entire world right now. Well, it turns out that Europe has the best military organization in the world right now. The majority of Europe, we all seem to have equal technology rates, and people are slightly worse. All of Russia is way worse than us. The closer to white you get, the better it is. So if we change over to, say, improved keeps, it might be a little different elsewhere, but the better improved keeps, Constantinople has the best walls right now and the best castle infrastructure and things like that. I bet you they have good castle infrastructure as well. If I switch over to this, yeah, they have good, probably the best in the game. It's actually whiter than anywhere else around it. So anyway, so what was I saying? Study technology. If we send him to Constantinople, he has a very good chance of getting us some free technology points that we can invest in these by clicking these buttons and improving our own technology. Of course, he probably has a chance to be discovered as well, and he does. So if he's discovered by the Byzantines, they might throw him in jail and castrate him or pull his eyes out or do something very, very awful to him. They might just execute him. They might just keep him in prison forever, and we would lose our spy master. Very unfortunate, but it's worth it. to do that whenever you can. That's usually the one I used to use, but lately I think I'm going to be using Scheme more and more often because technology has changed. You can't really study it at the beginning of the game anymore, which is usually what I try and do to get a leg up on people around me. Sadly, that's no longer available anymore. Alright, last but not least is the Court Chaplain. So, right now he is in Montferrat to hunt apostates, and this is the new one with monks and mystics. It never used to be there. Court Chaplain will hunt down blaspheming, heretical societies and drag their members into the light. Heresies in this game, there probably aren't any right now, but in fact I'll do a search. We'll use the character finder and we will go search all. We will try any. We're going to go my religion group. We'll try and find a heresy here. A Catholic heresy, if I can find one. There are no Catholic heresies right now, but there are Orthodox heresies, so here's a Bogmalist. When you look beside their religions, beside each of the character, it'll tell you whether they worship a heresy or whether they're on the up and up. So Catholics are this cross. Orthodox are this one here is Orthodox. And you have Miaphysites, which Nestorians, different variations of Christians. But these, anything in red is a heresy. And if it was a heresy that we were, it would be like Fraticelli, Waldensian, Mullard, and oh hell, what was the last one? And Cathar. And each of those causes religious disunity in our realm, and basically they believe things that we don't believe, and therefore they are evil. Or they believe in Christ the wrong way. And if they're doing that, that means they're up to no good. That means they're probably devil worshippers and they need to be burned at the stake. So we have a possibility of finding one of those. It might be beneficial that we find those people. You think, like, why would we want to find those people? Those people might have money. Those people might be in a position of influence, and they might be influencing things in your realm towards heresy. And that can be very bad for you. If your county suddenly flips to heresy, you might flip to heresy. You might choose to flip to heresy, or suffer an event that causes you to switch your faith or something. I don't know if that's in the game right now, but that would be something that would give everyone around us a free casus belli to attack us, and that so many people would jump on that. I would jump on that. If someone was a heretic, if Saluza suddenly flipped to a heresy, I would attack him right away. That's a free war for me to go and attack and gain some land easily. So you don't want to be a heretic when you're surrounded in the heart of the Holy Roman Empire, in the heart of Christendom. You want to be on the fringes, at least. And you want to keep it a secret. So we have a possibility of finding a heretic. We also gain monthly piety, 0.45 monthly. Piety is a type of resource that you can spend. It's up here at the top. We only have 12 of it right now, but the more piety we have, the better church vassals like us. So the Bishop of Casale will like us a little bit better. Bishop Latenzio of Casale. He will enjoy us better than otherwise if we have a higher piety. We can also use piety to do other things. The Pope might give us boons and things like that. He might give us free money. He might choose to excommunicate someone for us, even though that never fucking happens. It doesn't matter how much piety you have. You will never convince the Pope to excommunicate anybody for you. I don't even know why it's a feature in the game. You can't even use it. Kind of sad about that, but anyway, then you have, what other outcomes are there? Possible outcomes is an apostate is found. An apostate is a heretic, basically. 68.5% chance yearly to find someone who is up to no good, and we can do things to them, hopefully. Proselytize, the next ability for the Court Chaplain to do. We can potentially send our Court Chaplain to tend to the lost souls in a county converting heretics and infidels. So, if we wanted to do it in a general sense, we could send our guy, our Court Chaplain, to another province. It might be one that we own, it might be our neighbor, to try and proselytize, to flip its religion to ours. So, we could potentially send our guy to go here, which is an Orthodox county in Foggia, to try and flip Foggia over to Catholic. You can see that the count who owns this right now is a Norman, and he is a Catholic. So he is in charge of an Orthodox province, and you can see since there are white lines through it, he's trying to convert it to Catholic himself. So he probably has his court chaplain in Foggia proselytizing, trying to flip this county from Orthodox to Catholic. And we could potentially do that too, and it would increase his chances, make our faith stronger overall because it would have more control over the areas and so forth. We also have the ability to change the minds of heretics and stop them. So, county religion converted, 25.33% chance yearly. Subject, so just an individual person in the realm that doesn't share the same religion, we have a 45% chance of finding someone and switching their religion for them, bringing them back into the fold. Heathens attack the court chaplain. That's the possibility of him dying, and we could potentially find a heretic noble, which would be even better than just a regular heretic or an apostate even. 21.37% chance yearly, so that'd be cool. Obviously, you would want to send your guy to proselytize as well as other Christians potentially, just so that you would have less revolt risk by sharing the same religion, and that they would like you better. All the people in your county would like you better. Revolt risk would be lower because there's no religious friction between the two people. If you were a Catholic ruling over a different branch of Christianity, like this guy is, the Orthodox, it means he probably has a higher revolt risk than we do. In fact, we know he does because we hover over revolt risk here. He's a Norman, so he's from France. He has land down in Italy, and this part of Italy is actually, the culture is Greek and it's Orthodox. So he's getting unrest, which is revolt risk, because he owns a county that is a different culture than he is, so he's getting plus 2% revolt risk, and then plus another 1% because it's different religion on top of that. So the ideal is that you want your county to be the same culture as you and the same religion. That means your revolt risk will be at the minimum it could possibly be. So that's why you'd want to send this guy to other neighboring people as well, potentially. If you don't want to attack people, if you want to play as a good Christian in the game, you might want to send, if you own Meissen, you might want to send your court chaplain to Lausitz here, since you share a border. And Lausitz is Slavic right now, to flip that over to Catholic to prevent him from attacking you. Him having the Holy War CB, he will no longer have it if he's Catholic. But you won't have it either, since you flipped him to Catholic, you won't be able to attack him. But if you're playing that sort of character, you might want to do that. Next one over is Research Cultural Tech. It's like the Research Economy Tech and Research Military Tech. It just increases the spread rate of cultural technology from other places that surround you to you. It goes faster, and of course, you might find, if you research cultural tech, you might also find a great philosopher, which could potentially give you a new counselor or something. It might give you some bonuses. I'm not sure what that does. I rarely ever use cultural tech or research cultural tech. You also have the possible outcome of finding a heretic, or and they say find heretic. What they mean here is that you'll find a heretic, but you'll be able to use that heretic to convert to a heresy if you wanted to. If you wanted a free Holy War CB against everyone, if you think you can defend off the entirety of Catholic Christendom, if you feel you're strong enough, let's say you were the Holy Roman Emperor, you were at the top of the food chain, you said, you know what, I'm tired of this Catholic bullshit, I want more land. The easiest way for me to get more land is to have the Holy War CB. To have the Holy War CB, I need to change religion. So I'm going to go look for a heretic by sending my court chaplain to research cultural tech. Once I find this heretic, I'm going to accept that heretic into my fold and convert to his religion. That's what it's saying. I wish it should just say possibility to convert to a heresy under that. I don't think it should say a heretic find, because that's very vague. This one says heretic noble is found, apostate is found, and then it says a heretic find. Like, which one is which? Doesn't make much sense. Last but not least is improve religious relations. This works the same way as improve diplomatic relations, but it works only for church vassals. So we potentially do this to improve our relationship with the Pope, or with our bishops underneath of us in any given place, or just another bishop that's not beneath us at all. And improved relations with a priest is 21.37% chance yearly, and increased relations between a priest and the spiritual leader. So it might not just be us improving relations with somebody else. It might also be between this person and the Pope or something like that, which might cause him to like us better. Either way, that'd be an okay one to have if you're not doing anything else with it. Geez, I think I've nattered on for the whole episode, and I hope you stuck around for that. I'm trying to teach you the game, and I think it's important to learn these things. But we are going to unpause in the next episode. But I thank you so much for watching, guys. I will see you next time on Rag Plays Crusader Kings 2 Monks and Mystics, the Penitentia Agitate campaign. See you then.